Hey guys, Thomas the Silly Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review the movie Boo! With an exclamation mark at the end. Okay, so, from what I can gauge, I think this is a smaller scaled movie. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but anyways, I decided to check this out. So this movie takes place on Halloween in Detroit, and starts in the past with this guy smoking, stopping his car, and taking this piece of paper that has Boo written on it and a few other notes as well. He proceeds to take out a shotgun as other kids are trick-or-treating and no one seems to pay mind that this man has a shotgun. He makes his way inside a house and a shot is heard, and then we cut to present day. We then see a woman, a mother, talking on her phone, or a daughter, excuse me, talking on the phone to her boyfriend Ash. The daughter's name is Morgan. This is a mixed family. The mother and son are of, I believe, like, it might have been an adoption process, possibly. I don't know if that's the direct inclination, but anyway. That's neither here nor there, so I won't delve too deep into it. Regardless, so the father opens the door after hearing a doorbell noise, and he proceeds to bring in this package, which introduces the Boo paper that the previous guy had seen. He starts reading it and then stops, saying that this is clearly some sort of joke or prank or whatever. And the son knows the process or the note by mind. He's able to recite everything that the paper says. The son's name is Caleb. The father proceeds to ignore his son, burning the paper, and then the son is like super sad, like, oh, you should have listened, oh, you know, that sort of ordeal. We see that they have a dog, and the son starts to draw recklessly, like super fast, this image of the house burning down, and a figure and another figure and so on and so forth. Very apropos to the end of the movie. I suppose spoiler alert there. So he starts to watch the news afterwards, and meanwhile the mother is looking in the cabinets, taking in some pills. Meanwhile, Caleb is cutting up some like catalogs, doing like some sort of artsy project of a Halloween sort of thing. He starts to talk to his fish because that's how he processes stuff, I suppose. When he starts to head down, the sister Morgan scares him a little bit. So they have their little moment. So the father goes off driving, and he goes to where he works, this bookstore. Meanwhile, the mom is back at the house, smoking and drinking, getting ready to leave. The sister also gets ready to leave, but she is told that she must stay here to look after Caleb. So she's forced upstairs, and then the mom starts to head out. So she joins Caleb, that being Morgan, and he's continuing to do his little bit. And she says that she is gonna end up heading out anyways, and heads outside to get to Ash, who jump scares her and drive off. So the son starts playing with this like spinner toy thing that has the covers and like the separate images, and he starts to hear a noise. Meanwhile, Morgan holds Ash hand. They're holding hands and they're talking, and well, he's doing most of the talking at this point. But yeah. So Caleb starts to head down in like the slow-mo as we as the audience notice this cross flipping over to the upside down, and then a blanket rising up like the cover as you see here. As he heads towards the door and then gets spooked by some kids that want some treats. So as we proceed on, Ash and Morgan, he stops the car and he like starts talking to her, and she's like talking about her brother and being stuck and stuff like that, and they start to after some talking they start to kiss, and then it leads all the way up to the sex. So we cut to the mom, who is still smoking, checking on her phone. She learns that Morgan now has left Caleb on his own at this point, as she sees this carriage in the middle of the road, hearing baby noises coming from it, and it kind of cuts away before she can even react or anything of that nature. Meanwhile, after their little moment, Ash and Morgan chill outside, and she starts to like freak out, seeing like Ash like bleed from his wrist, and it's like she's like seeing things that aren't really there. Meanwhile, the father, as we cut back to him, is fixing some books. He hears one of the books fall. He goes to pick it up, and another book falls, and he starts to read one of them. As blood like kind of comes down temporarily, he pulls out one of his teeth, and then he keeps reading, kind of like not understanding what's going on. So he eventually ends up leaving, seeing this kid with missing eyes, and then after his little freak out, he notices that the kid has vanished. So we cut back to Caleb, who goes back to his room, and seeing that now his fish is dead, he starts like freaking out. The mom returns to him, and he's saying like, "Oh, the curse! This is all because of the curse." And she starts talking about when he was younger and what he used to do. And then she eventually moves away to the restroom, starting to see blood for a moment, but then starts laughing a little bit. Then filling the tub with water, but then it eventually turns to blood, but she does not see it. Meanwhile, the daughter eventually returns home, and the mom barges in on her, and voices in her head. And then the dad also returns at this point. He kind of makes his way, and they talk very briefly afterwards, the father and the mother. She starts to think about what it was like before all of these changes were happening. So the father or the mother convinces the father to check in on the son, who is kind of reading at the moment. And the father starts to talk about his past, about how he used to be really scared. And Caleb starts to talk about the curse again with the events that happened at the beginning of the movie. So the dad starts to search this person that was being mentioned. He looks around. Meanwhile, the son is starting to have bad dreams, as it's showing like flashes about what happened prior. He sees or he does not see the boy with the missing eyes again. The son does wake up, and the daughter then starts to pick up a razor and cuts herself, starts freaking out, slamming her head against the window over and over again. just for this to be another vision of like, oh no, things are getting crazy. The mom also getting experiences, hearing the baby with the TV on. She starts to step on blood. She starts to follow this umbilical cord all the way downstairs. She sees a woman in a veil, ends up being her screaming. They hear like a sharp, loud noise, and so they start to wake up as well. So the mother and daughter reunite, talking about them also having dreams of that nature. Meanwhile, the son checks out some creepy photos. Then he starts to see that they change into his house, and then he's grabbed from behind by this ghostly figure. So the father begins to pray, and then the son kind of makes his way to the father, saying like, there's something bad happening, it's the curse again. The mother and daughter finally join him. Now the three of them start to pile up on the dad, saying that there's something going on, and that and the mother particularly wants to leave. So the mother tells the two of them to go pack, so the son goes to his room, wanting to, for whatever reason, talk to the spirit, and he kind of gets occupied by that. They hear a loud bang, another one, and the father and mother proceed to check this out. The door that leads outside is now locked. The father is pulled away. The lights flicker for the daughter, and then the daughter kind of has her moment. And then there's like a flip with the father involved, and the mother has to like go get to him and wake him up from that mess. So the mother proceeds to rush to the kids to get them. And the sister's also looking for Caleb as well. The father finally gets up by himself. He's now alone. And the lights flame up behind him. He starts freaking out. Meanwhile, Morgan heads down to the basement, or like, I don't know if it's like a basement or a second floor, first floor. But anyways, she ends up seeing the dog has been beaten down. She starts to freak out, calling for her mom. Sees this random person floating and does her own little freak out moment there. So the mom hears the baby noises again and sees this crib and then blood and more of that stuff. The father goes to the door, opens it. Meanwhile, Caleb heads upstairs to his room specifically. The mother ends up rejoining with Morgan after the mother has like conquered her little moment. She's able to proceed to help out Morgan with her ordeal. Meanwhile, downstairs, the father sees the blood boy, the one with the missing eyes, and he is tackled to the floor. We see his eye get scooped up. Meanwhile, Caleb sees the darkness and opens the doors to his room and then closes it. But he's then grabbed from above. So the daughter and mother join the father, and the two of them proceed to help him out. So all three of them have now been helped out, but they proceed to make it to the door, hearing a knock at the door. They see that the son is now out there with a changed expression on his face. He's holding a gas lighter, and then proceeds to close the door on them, and then light up the house. And we see a demon stand behind him as the house burns to a fiery fire, and then the movie ends. So It definitely felt like this is a lower budgeted movie. I've not seen anyone. I haven't particularly seen anyone like review this. Again, I just sort of came across it, so I decided to check it out. Um, and I guess it was pretty enjoyable. On a lower tier. I think it's fair to say. I think the families, they have their like individual like little quirks, obviously, um, and for the most part, the family breakup is mainly mended, and then when the son is ignored, he's ignored for far too long, and then by the time they get to him, it's already too late. So um, again, I think it could have been a little bit more helpful to build up this family a little bit more. Um, this movie does have, I suppose it's good enough. I don't know. I would give it like a half mark, a 5 out of 10. Pretty good. In regards to like the characters are okay enough. The acting's good enough for what is provided. Um, the story is pretty straightforward. Um, and you kind of, I guess you can kind of get along with this, or not, this dysfunctional family, um, as they get closer and closer to conquering their own or helping each other conquer their little moments. You kind of go, yeah, they're gonna make it, and then you're like, oh, never mind. Anyway, yeah, that's my review of Boo. It was okay. And it seems like this is like it would be like one of those things. Like after this one, there's going to be like someone else that gets the paper invite of doom, and that's what leads to the events occurring. And the events, I suppose, are more catered to each individual, but whatever. Yeah, that's my review, and if you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description, and one will head you over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.